Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm so happy to be coming on today and talking to you about the month of June 2021. I'm really very excited to see what this month has to offer us today, as I am doing this comprehensive video talking a bit about the intuitive messages I'm getting about the month of June, as well as some of the astrological insights, which I will also talk about later in the video with some charts. So I hope that you've got a lovely coffee or tea as we're going to be going into the depth of what's coming up this month. So I'm really feeling good about some of the lightness that is offered in this month. This Gemini season in particular, to me, feels like a very purpose-revealing, light-hearted month. Whereas it seems that we've been very connected to heaviness within purpose and really pressurizing our sense of purpose, I feel that it gets lighter this month and it becomes something more manageable in a way. So I think that this is such an incredible month to discover purpose and to also understand realistic ways that you can actually work with it and not get overwhelmed. So anyway, before we get into these intuitive messages, I definitely want to invite you guys over to my Patreon page. By now, most of the June general forecast should be available there, or they will be very soon. So be sure to hop over and check that out if you haven't joined yet. It's such a good value. I do weekly forecasts. I do monthly forecasts early and ad-free. And I also do extended readings over there too. So it's definitely a really good time to be checking out the Patreon page. I also have a merch line as well, which is a great way to support this channel. I will link that in the description box below, and it's also in the merch bar below as well. The tank tops are especially really great. For those of you who are athletic, I love to wear them running. The material's very soft. I made sure to use really good material. And I get a lot of positive response to the merch. So both of those are really great ways to support this channel if you would like to. And without further ado, let's talk deeply about June of 2021. Okay, so nothing is really meant to be that hard, okay? We, to me, feel very collectively dialed in to difficulty and connecting difficulty to progress. Without difficulty, I cannot have progress. Without a hard time or without a hardship, I struggle to actually get where I want to be. This is something that really should start to dissipate, and especially as we're moving past that eclipse from May 26th, the super flower blood moon eclipse. I'll link that video below and in the top right hand corner in case you'd like to get some retrospect on that energy. As we move from that time until June 10th, where we have an annular solar eclipse, which I will be making a video about, hit that subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on if you would like to be notified when that video goes up, because we are in eclipse season. And as you're listening to this video now, most likely pre-June 10th, know that we are at a very strong connecting point. We are at a very powerful, very overwhelming for some people introduction to what our purpose truly is and how we actually really can connect to that. So as we're moving through this month, there is really a critical mission I'm feeling. There's really a truth-speaking opportunity with the self to actually empower the true connecting point that we want. What does that mean? We can actually really tap into our purpose this month. We can not only tap into it, we can start to pull the levers of life, really work with our action and our choices to bring very clear, very obvious results that align with purpose. So to be clear, the key point of this month is the fact that moving towards purpose and actually aligning with it, actually being on that path, is not something that is elusive. It is not something that's really betraying people, and it's not something that's tricking us up if we actually let ourselves do it. Where the room for error comes in June is within how we trick ourselves up about purpose, not about actually moving toward it, if I can distinguish. What does this mean? This means that many times, based on previous experience or difficult or traumatic scenarios, we start to convince ourselves of what we can or cannot do, and all of this becomes tangling. It tangles up our life force energy. So June of 2021, especially at the midpoint of these eclipses, like from June 1st to June 7th, most potently, we can clearly, lightly, and obviously understand our trajectory and understand what it actually takes to get toward the next point or to get towards the next checkpoint. There's something of a checkpoint actually coming around late September of this year, but we can see that in sight now. Or maybe this is sort of a preemptive checkpoint in route to a larger checkpoint. This is sort of a time where a lot of memories are made as well, especially on the Cancer season side of this month. We are forging new memories. We are showing ourselves what our capabilities really are. And we are maybe suffering a lot of loss, okay? Or I would actually like to rephrase that. Many of us might actually be being blessed with some kind of loss as we start to see that previous turmoil or previous confusion is taken or is gone or is lost. Again, something comes in and something goes out. We're also going to have this at the end of this year, another strong potent eclipse season. But by the time of like June 15th, there's going to be a very visceral, very real showcase of what is and is not viable in our lives anymore. So viability really comes up, especially, it's the main part of what this big Gemini focus means. So as we are preparing to move into June, we have that Sun, North Node, Venus, and Mercury all in Gemini, stellium. And the Sun, North Node combination is so revealing, and it's in the mind. Consciously revealing of what I'm here to do, of what I feel that my life's work is, of what I feel that my destiny is. Again, this isn't an argument about whether destiny is or is not something that really exists, but our own feeling, each individual person's understanding of what they feel is their highest potential is something that's very revealed in the conscious mind right now. And I think that it really trips a lot of us up to a degree, as Gemini can be a very shifty sign in the sense that, maybe some of the decisions or choices that we've made over the past make it a little bit difficult to get there, especially if we've really denied what we're meant to do, or especially if we've really, distracted ourselves or become caught in escapism and not found ourselves willing in the past to actually hone in on what we ourselves could have actually done. There is a great opportunity in June to just understand what that is. And it's like by understanding it, the things which are preventatives or the things which do not contribute to that slowly start to melt away. So that that can be hard when we see that these predetermined aspects of our lives that we once thought were going to be forever are eclipsed out and made way for what's really that, or what is really connecting to that at this point in our lives. There's a big, to be more simple with things, and it's basically like, I think I said this maybe in Libra or Scorpio's reading for June, we go through different phases in our lives, like 10 years ago, if you can think back to 10 years and like, what was your biggest dream or your biggest wish or your biggest goal 10 years ago? Would that be okay for you now? Like if that would have come true, if like a genie would have materialized and granted your wish back then, and you had that and you had all the results of that and all the implications of that, it might totally make what you want now impossible. So we start to kind of see why negation or denial happens in life. It might be because there's another type of dream or goal that we will have that won't maybe be compatible. So I want to definitely look into the idea of like compatible goals, compatible dreams, because I am sensing incompatibility. And this might also line up with relationship compatibility and incompatibility. We might just be learning more about compatibility right now than anything else, and how to have multiple goals or that don't clash, how to really match things up. Does the material that I'm wearing, location that I'm choosing, does it match? Is it compatible with what I'm wanting or feeling a destiny connection to in the future? This is all really good dialogue, because this is a lot of what Gemini energy is about. It's like a dialogue. It's a parameter. It's sort of a non-material, intangible construct, right? This has a lot to do with the nodal axis being in Gemini and Sag, because the thing is with this Gemini stellium that we have moving into June, very beginning of June, it's kind of like the South Node is weighting this all down. So there's something about past lives or something about even past versions of ourselves that are very much rooting down some of these things. Like we could have never anticipated that this is what we would end up wanting, but it totally makes sense based on what our previous choices have been. But yeah, maybe there's also then another level of contribution that I have to make, or something that I have to, or that one has to really line up to make it feasible. Okay. And I think that we're going to get a larger emotional connection to what is feasible in our lives, especially by the time Cancer season comes in. So this video is more about Gemini season. I'll talk just a little bit about Gemini seasons in general and what that tends to bring in. And then I'll go into a little bit of Cancer season, and we will talk more about the astrology as well. So Gemini season this year is, I've felt it to be very light and beautiful since I was doing my 2021 year ahead forecast, which I'll link below and in the top right hand corner. I felt that Gemini season and Libra season, all the air seasons, were going to be very nice beacons during this year, beacons of hope, beacons of possibility, very easy to be communicated to, like what is meant for you, like what we're meant for becomes communicated almost as if it's like a beacon, and it's really obvious. So I think that's a lot of what Gemini season is about, especially given the proximity of the North Node to Sun and Venus and Mercury at the beginning of June. And as it transits, we come out of it with a higher understanding and more communication around the viability of what we feel that we want. And then I think that there's also maybe in Gemini season kind of a refinement of what that is too. Like maybe we have a few adjustments or refinements to do in regards to these momentums and in regards to these goals. And then I think also that we are in for a big emotional level up too, as Jupiter has just moved into Pisces, which I'll be making a video on that. But we have really leveled up emotionally, or we stand to, as Cancer season comes in. And that's kind of what we need to prepare for, I think, in Gemini season, is to understand that an emotional level up is required throughout Cancer season. So to be having a lot of internal dialogue, a lot of journaling, perhaps anything that gives you a really solid form of communication, like with yourself or with other people, regarding how you're moving forward or regarding what these long-term goals actually are, really helps to get you in the mental place to then afford the emotional level up that's coming in Cancer season. So we'll talk more about that in the Cancer season video at the end of June. But anyway, yes, let's move into some more astrology-focused insights and see what's coming up there. So we've already talked a little bit about it. It's hard for me not to talk about astrology the whole time, isn't it? But looking more at some specific things happening, as I said, on June 10th, we have the annular solar eclipse happening. So there's going to be a physical result based on what we went through in May 26th with the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipses, depending on how they're transiting your chart, tend to be more emotional and internal, whereas solar eclipses tend to be more physical and external. So prepare for June 10th to be maybe some sort of physical external channeling of that energy. And we also have to remember this month that we've got Mars in Cancer for quite a while. I believe, I'm just looking at the chart, all this happens in real time, everyone, very raw and unedited. No, Mars moves into Leo pretty quickly. Actually, that's going to be June 12th, actually, which means that that annular solar eclipse we're having on June 10th is going to probably very much focus in Mars-related energy. So what we're striving for, what we're pioneering in our lives, what we're trying to get, very strong based on our effort and based on what we physically actively are pursuing. So that's going to be a lot of what the eclipse deals with. And Mars in Cancer is always quite difficult. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So knowing that from June 1st to June 12th, you want to really be thinking about emotional expression. You want to really make sure that you're not losing control of yourself, or you're not getting too emotionally freaked out about things. And also if you're feeling worried or concerned, or even like you're not super healthy in some way, that's quite typical with Mars in Cancer. So by June 12th, that's going to get much better. Mars loves to be in Leo, so we will be having that going in on June 12th. Also, other things that are happening, it's a very retrograde month, all right? We go into the month having Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury retrograde, and we're leaving the month with Jupiter and Neptune having gone retrograde as well. So Jupiter goes retrograde on June 20th, and Neptune goes retrograde on June 25th. I will have videos about those, so I won't spend too much time here talking about them. It's just good to know and be prepared that, Jupiter going retrograde, it deals a lot with change in desire, looking back at your philosophy. Has it worked? Has the way that you're idealizing your life or idealizing your purpose worked? Is it effective? Is the way that you're budgeting time, money, and energy effective? We already have that going on with Saturn retrograde and then Neptune going retrograde at the end of the month. Are we emotionally capable of it? Are we emotionally sturdy enough to have this type of movement in our lives? Are we actually dialed in to the truth of our form as well? Like is our diet, exercise working in tandem with our emotions? Like is there a disconnect there? So that's what we're going to be dealing with by the end of this month. Having Jupiter and Neptune both being in Pisces, going retrograde, hitting Cancer season, things are going to get suddenly very watery by the end of the month. So that's it's always funny. Gemini season makes me talk really fast. I've got a lot of Sagittarius in my chart, so it gets me moving quickly. And I'm sure if any other astrologers out there, if you feel this way during Gemini season, let me know in the comments below. I have to slow down a little bit. So things are in Cancer season going to suddenly become very emotional, very watery, and very perceptive, very psychic. Okay, that's why I really like the beginning of June, actually, where we have Gemini season, where we have, a lot more airiness, lightness to really make that progress. You kind of want to know what you're in for by the end of June, by Cancer season. You kind of want to have an idea about the momentum, about where you're headed, so that you can work more with the microcosmic things, the small things, the way that you want to project emotionally, the way that you want to be, okay? Instead of having to make really big executive decisions about your life, you want that to be more so on the Gemini season side of things, I think, just as a kind of an intuitive message about that. What else do I want to talk about for astrology? I would just note that, again, it's a very big picture, comprehensive experience. We have from Sagittarius all the way to Leo activated, every single sign activated. So that's only 4 signs that aren't activated right now. That's only Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. Yeah, okay, only 3 signs. Only 3 signs that are not activated, actually. Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. So those 3 signs, if you're a Virgo, a Libra, or a Scorpio, congratulations. This time is not about you. This time is, you get to kind of be on the sideline. And those 3 signs have been so activated. I'm kind of like happy for them that they can maybe just coast, or maybe just have an easier time of navigation right now, hopefully. But of course, they might be activated through other angles. So it depends on the chart, but not by conjunction. But all the other signs, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo, will be activated by some type of conjunction, depending on degree and orb, of course. But so it's rare that such a big part of the sky is activated chronologically like that. So for everyone, regardless of what sign you are, you have to kind of look at everything. Like nothing is going to really be that granular or singular in approach. You can't really, for example, like discover a problem. And I don't know, let's just get hypothetical up in here. Say your car breaks down. This is going to be about a lot more than just your car, okay? Maybe just taking the car to the mechanic and only thinking about your car is not really the way to go. Like there's probably some sort of other thing going on there. Like maybe you've had it too long. Maybe there's like something much deeper to it. And maybe it's not the best example, but like relationship issues, for example, are not just going to be very minute and simple. It's going to be from every direction. I've talked a lot this year about how we're making everything cohesive. So our different sectors of life, health, money, relationships, time, energy, all that stuff is not really singular. Like it's all combining together to make a bigger result. And that's, to me, very reflected in the sky right now, that we can't just focus on these individual things. This is probably sounding repetitive. If you're a subscriber, you're probably like heard this many times on this channel already. But I think it's my biggest thesis for the year of 2021 is that we can't get singularly minded. We can't get too focused on just one thing. So the fixed signs kind of struggle, especially, and it's not to say that you can't do well by being so innately focused on individual projects. I mean, they can probably become a lot bigger than you expect, and they can probably take on some type of relativity that was unanticipated just through how big things can be right now. But I just really encourage everyone, and this is such a great month to like get it and to dialogue it and to understand the concept of this idea. But is there a way that we can focus on every single aspect of our lives? Is there a way that we can achieve a well-rounded, comprehensive health instead of having like singular things that do really good and then other singular things that might be like totally in disrepair? That polarity is something that I think we're very called upon right now to try to heal and try to get more stable. Stability and security are probably the strongest themes of this year, though it's kind of ramshackled because we've got such strong Aquarian, Pisces, and then Uranus and Taurus energy. It's like hard to really get that at the same time. So this happens sometimes in astrology where you have conflicting messages, and it happens sometimes in life, doesn't it, where we can't really decide how we actually feel about something, or we can't really, come to a solid conclusion about the role that something or someone is serving in our lives. And it would be very common to have that right now too. Like I just can't really come to one mind about some of my experiences in life. Like I can't really decide if some people are good or bad for me. I can't really decide if my career is where I really want to be in the long run. Like it's not really feeling right, but at the same time, it's right in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot of two-mindedness right now. Which is not great. Okay. It's not something that, it's good, I guess, if you're like in certain careers that really need an ability to see every single outcome and to present that. But then as for making choices that result in those outcomes, that's the hard part. But yeah, people who are employed or have some type of career that deals with it, showing different options or showing different possibilities or different, results that might happen based on certain input, that would probably be the most successful people right now, because it is not hard to see 75 different outcomes for individual choices right now, And I think that's showing a certain momentum that Cancer season, so June 21st to July 21st, roughly, is probably going to introduce some type of emotional stimulus that calms us down a little bit from this, because this to me does feel really stimulated, and it feels really unsustainable in another way too. Like, does one person really have the ability to do so much? I feel that there are many, many people right now who might be taking on a bit too much, or might be taking from some of their future energy now, almost taking out an energetic loan, going into some type of energetic debt to meet a goal or to make something happen now. And the thing is that a lot of these goals require a buildup and more energy over time. So it's hard to really take all that out now without having a burnout in the future, or without having, an autoimmune issue in the future or something. So I want everyone to really think about that. Like the health of your body is vital, and it's going to become more vital in Cancer season. I think that many of us might bypass it through Gemini because we're just so concentrating on what we're thinking about and all these different outcomes and all these different forecasts as well. It's like a very, very mental energy, but it's not something that's super, super sustainable. So I definitely urge you to think about sustainability in your life. Like, this could be financial. This could be when it comes to like how much time I have to work in the week, and is that sustainable? Is it sustainable for me to have X things in my life, X variable things, that you can really actually solve, especially through Cancer season, because Gemini season gives the mental perspective and Cancer season gives like the emotional results. So you get both of those examples right in front of you. And then it's really much easier, I think, to at least have, I'm going to say kind of like having a come to God moment, or a really visceral, hopefully sober-minded revelation that helps to fortify what we actually want, and making sure that we're not introducing a lot of flotsam and jetsam into our life. It's one of my favorite, words or series of words, flotsam and jetsam. It's very indicative of the energy right now. It's kind of scattering. It's kind of pulling itself out in so many different places. And watch out for acquiring things right now, buying a lot of different things, things which you don't really need, accumulating. Also then thinking about that with work and with other things in your life. Like, is this all a lot of flotsam and jetsam, or is it really relative to you as a person? That's, I think, a really good train of thought. Like, when we're coming up against choices and coming up against offers, like, do I want this? Do I need this in my life? Is this really relative to me, or is this something that's just inherently going to become clutter or like flotsam and jetsam? So anyway, everyone, I think that's a great place to conclude. I think that June 2021 for most people is optionally, at least, lighthearted, and not something that needs to be fear-oriented or something that has like really a lot on the line. And if you're feeling a sense of heavy pressure, or like you've really got to level up, I would say that it has more to do with a future goal or purpose than it does anything right here or now. But of course, that's an option. But I would definitely recommend that anybody who can really dial back a little bit and do some easy things, mundane healing that gets you healthy enough to really do those big things when that seems perhaps more reflected in the sky. So anyway, everyone, I hope that you've had a really nice time listening to this video. Again, I definitely recommend that you check out the Patreon page. I'm going to link it below and in the center of the screen now. You can get all of the readings for June early, ad-free, and extended. I post these videos over there, and I also do weekly forecasts, which are only available on Patreon every Saturday. So it's a really great deal. And I also hope that you'll check out my merch line as well, which will be linked in the merch bar below. And I'll link it too. I think that there are some like sales going on that platform, so you can get like discounts as well right now. But if that is the case, I will link it below and tell you more in the description box. And I hope that you have a wonderful June. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit the like button so this video gets out there, and comment. Let me know if it resonated for you or any thoughts that you might have about the month ahead. So happy June, everyone. Happy Gemini season. And I'll talk to you soon. Much love. Bye.